Okay, so I love the title that was assigned to my Pecha Kucha. Dribble, jump, shoot for the moon. I'm a huge basketball fan. But I confess, my first love was baseball. And it was this sport that started me on my journey of a lifelong love of playing, watching, and working in sports. While my focus this evening is on my professional journey, for me, everything starts and ends with family. I grew up in a big family. I'm the youngest of 10 children, born and raised in Great Falls, Montana. My mom and dad were hardworking, church-going, just trying to make ends meet for this crew. Like many people back in the day, we spent our summer evenings running around the neighborhood, making up games with our siblings and friends. My brothers, though, played organized sports. There was no such opportunity for me or for my older sisters. I loved going to the neighborhood ball field to play catch with my dad or home run derby with my brothers. But I was never able to be part of a team. And then one day, my life changed. My dad came home from work, and I recall it like it was yesterday. He told me, "You get to play Little League Baseball." Remarkably, the 37 words that make up Title IX say nothing about sports. While the country was trying to figure out what this new law meant, somehow my dad knew that his 8-year-old girl was about to have a field day. So what is even more remarkable is that my parents allowed me to go to baseball practice wearing those pants. But I was having a great time. I was the only girl to play on my team, and I was one of the first nationally to play baseball. So I put up with a lot of teasing from the boys, and thankfully I was a good player. But after a couple of years, a girls' softball team was formed. I decided to switch over and play with my girlfriends. Truly, I was playing for the love of the game, without aspirations for an athletic scholarship, and completely unaware that I was part of a cultural movement that would make a staggering impact on girls and women in sports. So I went off to college at the University of Montana. Starting off as a music major, I eventually changed course, but I managed to complete my degree entirely oblivious I could make a living in sports. By luck, I noticed a volunteer opportunity in the Sports Information Office at American University, and I was assigned to manage the men's and women's conference basketball championships, so the first substantial entry on my resume. My boss took pity on me and paid my way to my first professional conference so I could look for a full-time job. And one evening after the festivities, there was a big crowd around the elevator, and there happened to be a piano nearby, and so I sat down and played a few tunes for the guests, and I had 3 job offers the next day. So I took the job at UAB in Birmingham, Alabama, where I met some interesting characters along the way. One of these guys made fame and fortune in the NBA, and I married the other one. Some of you may know this guy. Anyway, we had our 3 children, started to build our life in the Deep South. I was the only female administrator in the department, was fortunate enough to advance fairly rapidly, helping UAB add its first football program, and then to keep in compliance with Title IX, I started the women's soccer program from scratch. I was also tabbed to coach the women's golf team for a short time. No golf skills required. Collegiate athletics was still a male-dominated industry, but I was able to continue to climb the ladder at UAB until my home state came calling with a new job opportunity. With Rick's support, he sacrificed a job that he was loving, working in minor league baseball, and off we went with our 3 little ones to Montana State University. Rick's plan was to manage the transition with our young family and get settled before looking for work. After about 3 days, he was snapped up to run a hockey franchise. Juggling work and a young family was challenging, so I decided to pursue my doctorate degree. So also while in Bozeman, I swung for the fences and was selected to the prestigious NCAA Women's Basketball Selection Committee, and March Madness took on a whole new meaning for us. With Rick's hockey team in the playoffs and my committee travel schedule, we relied on one another and the support of our families to survive a world where 8 to 5 childcare just wouldn't do. With Rick's support, I made it through my 2-year term on the committee, and while serving, was recruited to be the Dean of Students at the University of Maine. We were up for the adventure, so off we went. This was an invaluable campus experience for me, but after 18 months working in student affairs, I missed athletics and was fortunate enough to get the position at Iowa State University nearly 20 years ago. Talk about madness. We set out from Maine with our 3 little ones, spent exactly 1 night in our new home in Ames, stopped at a softball tournament in Arizona, went to the NCAA basketball tournament in Spokane. I was studying along the way, defended my dissertation in Bozeman, and then settled into Ames 10,000 car miles later. Despite the success of our women's basketball team, most of our women's programs at Iowa State were struggling. Facilities were poor, we weren't very competitive, we were fighting to get our women's games on the radio, much less the television. I made some difficult coaching changes along the way to better position our teams for success. Over the years, I've been part of tremendous growth of our program, leading 15 of our 18 programs, each one now with a success story on the field and in the classroom. Program after program has achieved new heights. Volleyball and tennis, 2 teams that were at the bottom of the Big 12, and now perennial NCAA tournament participants. Nearly all of our facilities are new or upgraded over the past 2 decades. Our support units, nearly non-existent upon my arrival, have been strengthened with much needed resources. We continue to use Title IX to guide us, but we don't need the law to do the right thing, and that's the way it ought to be. The generational impact of Title IX cannot be overstated. Our daughter played Division I basketball for Navy and then served as the brigade executive officer at the academy. While she was in Pensacola waiting to start flight school, she decided to coach 7th grade boys basketball. The only woman to coach boys basketball in the state of Florida. 50 years into Title IX and barriers still being broken. Well, you can't swing for the fences if you never get up to bat. And I've been fortunate to have some really great teammates, and I've hit a few home runs along the way. I'm incredibly grateful for all the people in my life who have paved the way and supported my professional journey. For me, everything begins and ends with family, and because of them, I've hit the grand slam.